It has been a while. It has been a while. Thanks for joining with me. This is it's going to be a little bit of a hard episode to do, especially the first time back in over a month. My name is Chris. I'm a licensed attorney in the state of Alabama for almost 15 years. I am not your lawyer. This is not legal advice. In fact, this is more bitching than anything else. And that's it. Please don't take it as anything other than that. It ain't nothing more than that. So if you have a legal issue, please get somebody to help you. I'd appreciate it. And so will your pocketbook. I assure you. It'd be great. So I'm back. I'm here. I've had a lot of stuff going on in the last several months that's impacted streaming, etc. I've been trying to do something over the last month. I moved, and I wanted to go over the Kohbverger plea. It's not surprising at all because he was looking at firing squad. Firing squad. It's a thing. So I'd like to do that, but I also wanted to give you all a insight into what I've been going through and fighting for. I'm always been a open type person. It's not that I expose my privacy or anything, but there's certain things in life that we should never be ashamed of. We shouldn't run from, and we should fight for, or at least try to. I've done that, and unfortunately, apparently, the system and the state and people are a lot more degenerate, or much more degenerate type people than I would have ever thought, especially in Alabama, damn well in Kentucky. I'll tie the two together. Is a lot, and it may take a few episodes, but we are going to go over some stuff other than just me. And I also wanted to introduce everybody, and one of the reasons I haven't been able to do anything is I have for over, a little over a decade, I have what's called high pressure hydrocephalus. A water baby, water on the brain. I have a shunt. It's a ventriculoperitoneal shunt. It drains from the brain. There's a plastic government straw that goes into my brain, comes out, and then drains down my neck, over my chest, and into my stomach. Excess fluid. And cognitively, I'm fine. It's just it messes you up. It can, with your ability to sense the world and interact with it. And you have days where, oh God, I can't even stand. I'm too dizzy, or I can't explain it. So I'm going to try to. Anybody who's got it will understand what I'm talking about. It's horrible. It's not been fun. And I just had I had it replaced February 5th this year. That's the most recent. That's like number 4. So it sucks. But I wanted to go over that. And just, kind of give it, just chit chat, see what's going on, and let everybody know what's going on with me. It's probably going to be emotional. It's especially when it's personal. Usually is emotional. So if you get upset, if you don't like the word rape, you don't like the word sexual assaults, they offend you or scare you, log off. It's not a big deal. This is more of a catharsis for me than anything else. And what my family's gone through the last 4 years. So with that being said, let's get into it. Kohbverger, he took a plea. Not surprising. He's looking at firing squad. Now, when did that take effect? July the 1st. Firing squad is their means of execution. Now, do I think it was the only reason? Hell no. They had the guy dead to rights. Was it a great case? Well, no, it wasn't like they had somebody going, hey, look, there, he went down the street. I saw him. He had blood on his knife. He had a knife in his hands, screaming, I just killed them motherfuckers. That's not, no. But they had a good case. He took a good decision, and he took a plea. The people that, when I watched it today on other streams, people were wanting, why? You're never going to find a why. Dude, allocution is varies state to state. Some states I've had it, and when I've practiced in 4 states. What? No, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 states, 4 states, whatever. One of them being Kentucky, and in that state, when you do a plea, yeah, you kind of have to go and say, yeah, I went into the house, I broke into it, I kicked the door in, then I saw a gun laying there, so I stole the gun, put it in my pants, took some money. I mean, you have to walk through it almost. It's freaking ridiculous unless you do an Alfred plea. It sucks. But a lot of states do exactly what this judge did today, and he got a lot of shit for it. He was also slow but there's reasons behind it, I think. But this is normal. I wasn't expecting anything to come out of it and say, oh, look, we now know exactly what he was thinking. Oh, we're going to find the answers to all of life's questions in Brian Kohbverger. It's not going to happen. And what I thought I would do is I'm going to fast forward through a lot of this because a lot of it's just mind-numbingly drivel, and compare it and contrast it with an allocution. I guess it's been 20 years now. Dennis Rader, BTK, where he actually sat into court and told the judge everything he did for each murder. It's horrific in detail. I don't know how much of it I can play. But I wanted to show you kind of what the difference is, what people are complaining about. Because a lot of people have never seen this. What the hell is an allocution? Oh, or a plea colloquy, as we usually call it. I apologize, my sinuses are killing me today. But that's what I think people are getting hung up on today. Really bad, lambasting the judge, and he did all right. Talked a little much. It could have been half as long. So we will play it on higher speed and fast forward, etc., and then I'll contrast it. I do kind of want to go over. I got to take a victory lap, just a little bitty one, on the whole birthright citizenship 14th Amendment, because I did a video I think January after the president made his first declaration on it. Woohoo! Yes, I am correct. Thank you very much. I'll take the victory lap. Thank you. I'll take the bow. Yes, thank you. Because I'm right. They were wrong. Even other law tubers were like, no, this is never going to work. It's just, birthright citizenship is just a thing. Well, problem is the case law didn't support it. And unfortunately, even if you read it, the dissent in the case in Juan Kim Mark definitely doesn't support what they're doing, but he was the dissent. But even the majority doesn't approve of what we've done today because it hinged on one issue. And I pointed it out then, and I guess nobody cared or caught on, but I think it's going to come out to be the deciding factor in the case, which is lawful permanent residence of a parent. That's number one. So now that I've had my victory lap, I'm going to do that, and then we're going to start this. Let's start this shit show. Let's see how it goes, because I watched it earlier, and it's a little boring. But I think you need to see it to compare and contrast. We'll see. Hopefully y'all like it. Oh, let me give a like here.
Dedication. All right.
I hope you can hear it.
That said,
God, I'm going to be pissed. Oh, that was the other thing. That's so awesome. I'm using a hacked iMac from 7 years ago. It's not even updatable. Of course, I'm using a hacked software update. I hope everything's okay. I'm scared to reboot it because I'm having some graphic issues. Because it may try to install the newest, whatever the hell it is. What are they on now? Sequoia, which I think Tahoe is the one in beta, but I didn't want to screw it up. I've got this plugged into Gigabit. Don't have a way to do it off of my MacBook Air M1. So, man, if this doesn't work, I'm going to be pissed. So let's hope it works. Oh, shit. I just screwed the page. Well, that's not helpful at all. Let's see. I don't need that. I need the last damn video. Where's my last video? Oh, here we go.
And dedication. All right. That said, let's move to the business of today. I understand the state and the defense have reached a plea agreement in this case.
That's normal, yes.
For the record, I have a written plea agreement which indicates in sum The defendant will plead guilty to
Oh,
all 5 counts in the indictment,
Crap.
burglary, felony.
One more thing. I am going to go over I'm debating on not doing it. I don't know. My pleadings, I just filed with the Supreme Court of Alabama, and apparently they don't mind if judges destroy the life of a 9-year-old child. Yeah, they don't care. They don't mind. Make her pay for her rapist lawyer. Yeah, that's okay with them. So I may go over it. Maybe we can piece it or pick it out together and see if there were issues. I don't know. I don't think so, but only thing I can come up with is, honestly, people just don't give a shit. They just don't care. They don't give a shit if you have a child or a victim who has been abused, raped, beaten. They don't care. They give all the lip service. When it comes to lawyers and judges, they don't give a shit. They don't care. And they damn well don't care about your defendant, if whether or not their rights are protected. They don't give a shit. So we'll go
And
over
first-degree
that.
murder, 4 counts.
I had to redact a bunch, but we'll do it.
The state and the defendant stipulate, that is, that the defense is not free to argue for a lesser sentence at sentencing
Okay,
to
stipulate.
the following. The defendant,
Okay. They're stipulating right now up front that they're not going to argue for anything less other than what they've already pledged or agreed to, which is, I'm guessing, a minimum mandatory life. So homeboy's not going home ever, and that's what he's going to get. And the judge can't. Now the judge can do what he wants. He could say, "I ain't doing this plea deal. And screw this. We're going to trial right now." He could do that, or he could take it and do what he wants to with it. So that's where he's in, the boat he's in. He cannot give anything over than that. So he can't come back and go, aha, I'm going to take the plea and I'm sentencing you to death. That's not the plea deal. Okay.
on the burglary charge will be sentenced to 10 years fixed, and that the defendant on counts 2 through 5, the 4 counts of first-degree homicide, on each count would receive a fixed life sentence. All 5 of those counts to run consecutive to one
Sorry, I
another.
got to do it faster.
Defendant, as part of the plea agreement, waives his right to appeal, as well as his right to appeal the sentence
That's
and his
normal.
right to seek leniency or reconsideration of the sentence under Idaho Criminal Rule 35. This is not a Rule 11 agreement, meaning the court is not bound by the plea agreement and could impose a different lawful sentence at sentencing. The stipulated agreement between the parties is the maximum on each count, so theoretically the only thing the court could do would be a lesser sentence at sentencing. But the defendant is not free to ask the court to do so under the plea agreement. Are there any other material terms of the plea agreement that the parties would like to make? Obviously, the written plea agreement will speak for itself, will be part of the court record.
Not from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, very well.
And forgive me if
All right.
something comes up. I do have clients
Ms.
that are calling.
Taylor, have you had sufficient time to discuss this case and all of its ramifications with your client?
I have, Your Honor.
Have you discussed fully with him his rights, defenses, and possible consequences to him of the guilty plea?
Why is she
Yes, Your
smiling?
Honor.
Have you been able to do all the discovery you feel necessary?
Yes, Your Honor.
And have you
A
informed
lot of states make you do a allocution or a plea colloquy, which we will see with BTK that he actually did. I don't know if he was required to do. I don't know why he would have done it otherwise. But I knew going into this, it's basically going to be a recitation of facts from what the state thought they were going to be able to prove. That would be entered in the record. He'll ask the defendant, is this a knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently given plea? Blah, 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 blah. Yes, judge. Fine, I'll accept your plea and hereby judge you as guilty of the offenses as charged. Move on. And then they do sentencing later. So just keep that in mind.
your client of the importance of providing the court truthful and accurate answers in taking this plea today?
I have.
Have you apprised your client of any and all offers and counteroffers and answered his questions about those?
Yes,
Do you consent to the entry of the plea today?
I do.
Mr. Kohbverger, I need to ask you some questions this afternoon, or I guess it's this morning still. I do this to ensure that so that I am assured that you understand the nature of the charges to which I understand you're going to plead guilty, as well as the possible consequences to you of your guilty pleas. I want to make sure your plea is given voluntarily, and I want to make sure that you actually committed the crimes to which you're pleading guilty, because I don't want you to plead guilty to a crime you didn't commit. If you attempt to plead guilty today, but for some reason I don't accept your plea, then it is possible that your statements today could be used against you later at trial. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And now, while you're standing, actually, why don't you take the oath from the clerk?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony
Oh, I did want to point this out. See this lady? This is interesting. I found this today. the hell is it? Um, well, all right. The chick on the screen, that's Dr. Catherine Ramsland. She is on, as you can see, she has a lot of stuff. She's done a lot of stuff. She's a writer. She's a psychologist. She's a professor. Apparently, she was also his professor. And so she's one of these that does a lot of forensic pathology, or psychopathology, you know, interviewing serial killers, etc. She's an expert in her field, but he went to her for a class. So don't look. There's nothing wrong with her. She's a great asset to the community. I just thought it was interesting that he actually went and enrolled in a class under her. And you'll see her on a lot of the shows that you watch. If you watch any of the true crime stuff, she's been there. You've seen her. Okay, let's go back. Sorry. If I can get this to pull up, share this tab. Here we go. Yes, work. Damn it. Work.
Consume substance questions. Let me ask you, have you consumed any alcohol, drug, or other intoxicating substance that would impair your ability to understand or exercise reasonable judgment?
No.
You feel like you are thinking clearly today?
Yes.
All right, I want you to understand what the possible penalties are for each of the crimes to which I understand you're going to offer a guilty plea today. They include, on count one, the burglary, a fine of up to $50,000, and a period of incarceration of up to 10 years in the state penitentiary. You may be required to pay restitution to any victims of the crime. Count 2, 3, 4, and 5 for first-degree murder. The consequences include a fine of up to $50,000, a period of incarceration of life imprisonment, which is a requirement of a sentence, that it be a life sentence with a mandatory minimum sentence of at least 10 years on each of those counts. In addition, you would be potentially responsible for a fine of up to $5,000 to each of the victims of your crime, to be enforced in the form of a civil judgment, to operate as additional punishment. This is in excess of any restitution or fines that the court could order. And again, you may be required to pay restitution to the victims of the crime. You would be required to provide, as to counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, a DNA sample and a right thumbprint impression, and potentially pay for analysis of those samples. You would lose any right to possess, purchase, or carry a firearm, the right to serve on jury duty, the right to hold public office, and the right to vote. Do you understand the charges and all those possible consequences?
Yes.
You've heard the plea agreement that I talked about today. Do you agree with that plea agreement?
Yes.
And do you understand the nature of the charges that you've been charged with that I understand you're going to plead guilty today to?
Yes.
As I indicated, I'm not bound by the plea agreement, but the plea agreement is for the maximum on each count. Do you understand that I'm not bound by the plea agreement?
Yes.
Has anyone promised you that I would be lenient or easy on you if you pled guilty?
No.
Has anyone threatened you or anyone close to you to get you to plead guilty?
No.
Has anyone, other than the state's agreements with respect to the plea agreement, has anyone promised you anything in exchange for your plea agreement?
No.
Has anyone told you to be untruthful in answering my questions today?
No.
Has anyone offered you a reward of any kind other than the plea agreement in order to get you to plead guilty today?
No.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
And counsel, obviously there have been a number of motions filed to suppress evidence in this case. Other than those filed, are there any other motions that you felt were available with respect to Rule 12?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Kohbverger, you understand that by entering the guilty plea in this case, you would be giving up your right to appeal any decision this court made, as well as your sentence.
Yes.
Have you had enough time to decide whether or not to plead guilty?
Yes.
Are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
Given your choices, do you believe it's in your best interest to plead guilty?
Yes.
Have you discussed fully the matter of pleading guilty with your attorney, and are you satisfied with the advice you've received?
Yes.
Has your attorney advised you to your satisfaction about what your rights are, what your defenses may be, and what the possible consequences to you of your guilty plea are?
Yes.
Has your attorney done everything you've asked them to do?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with their representation of you?
Yes.
This is all normal.
I have received a written guilty plea advisory questionnaire that is purported to be filled out by you. Did you fill that document out?
Yes.
Did you understand the questions that you answered in this document?
Yes.
And are the answers that are outlined in this document your answers?
Yes.
Are those answers truthful?
Yes.
Did you sign the document?
Yes.
And this document outlines many of the rights that you have in this case. Should you not plead guilty, did you understand those rights?
Yes.
They include a right to a jury trial. Do you understand that?
Yes.
They include a right to the presumption of innocence. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You have the right to require the state to prove your guilt as to each element beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand that?
Yes.
They include a right to confront your accusers and cross-examine witnesses presented by the state, including by utilizing the subpoena power of the court to accomplish that. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You understand you would have a privilege against self-incrimination and a right to remain silent, meaning you would not be compelled to testify if you did not wish to, had you not pled guilty.
Yes.
You understand you're giving up that privilege and those rights that I've just outlined by pleading guilty.
Yes.
All right, I want you to understand what the state would have had to have proven at trial had you, to the crimes that you're pleading guilty to, had you, if you didn't plead guilty. Let me find the document. Hang on a second here. All right.
Come on, man. Skip along.
So murder in the first degree that on or about November 13th,
Oh, here we go.
County at that same address, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of
See, now he's reading, literally reading almost the indictment to recount exactly the charges and facts, and then the state will give their Mr. Santa Claus there will give his the state's portion of to show there's a factual basis for the plea. So
forethought, kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being, by stabbing her, from which she died. As to count 4, the state would have had to have proven that on or about that same date in Latah County, Idaho, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of forethought, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being, by stabbing her, from which she died. And then as to count 5, also murder in the first degree that on or about November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, Idaho, you did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of forethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing him, from which he died. Do you understand those things the state would have had to have proven?
Yes.
And you understand that by pleading guilty, the state no longer has to prove those things because you're admitting those things are true.
Yes.
yeah,
I want to also make, for the record,
that was weird.
the defendant has provided with the guilty plea advisory form a document entitled Written Factual Basis that purports to have the defendant's signature dated 1 July 2025. Did you sign that document?
Yes.
And did you agree with the written factual basis that is included there?
Yes.
And then let me ask you, did you, on November 13th, 2022, enter the residence at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder?
Yes.
Did you, on November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
Did you, on or about that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Kaylee Gonzalez, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, and with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
And did you, on that same date in Moscow, Idaho, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being?
Yes.
And did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
And then on or about November 13th, 2022, again in Latah County, Idaho, did you kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being?
Yes.
Did you do that willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and malice of forethought?
Yes.
I would ask the state at this time to provide its recitation of its factual basis.
And here we go. Here's where the state
Thank you,
does
Your
its recitation of facts.
Your Honor, the organization of the recitation is different than what I think the court and the public may be familiar with from the probable cause affidavit and other documents. The state's evidence, as an overview, would show that back in March of 2022, when the defendant was residing at his parents' residence or was residing back in Pennsylvania, his home state, he purchased online a K-bar knife and sheath with an Amazon gift card that he had purchased shortly prior to the purchase of the knife, sheath, and sharpener. Jumping ahead, the end of June of that year, the defendant, Mr. Kohbverger, moved from Pennsylvania to Pullman, Washington, which is right across the state line from Moscow, Idaho, for the purpose of pursuing a PhD in criminal justice at Washington State University. The state's evidence would indicate that beginning July 9th of 2022, Mr. Kohbverger's phone began connecting to a cell tower that serves the area of the 1122 King Road residence in Moscow, Idaho. Now, I will acknowledge for the court and all present that there are many residences in that area. It's a dense population of mostly college-related occupants. Between July 9th of 2022 and November 7th, the defendant's phone connected to that particular tower during late night, early morning hours, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., on approximately 23 times. Now, I will acknowledge also, we do not have evidence that the defendant had direct contact with 1122 or with residents of 1122, but we can put his phone in that area on those times. In the interim, on August 22nd of 2022, Lake Powell County Sheriff's Deputy Darren Duke conducted a traffic stop in the early morning hour or late evening hours, about 11 p.m. On the west side of Moscow, on Moscow-Pullman Road. This was the traffic stop of Mr. Kohbverger's car, which turned out to be a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plates. During the course of the traffic stop, Deputy Duke was able to obtain Mr. Kohbverger's name, Brian Kohbverger, his phone number, and his address, which at that point was an apartment address in Pullman. We then moved to the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. The state's evidence would show that early morning hours on that day, Mr. Kohbverger's phone left his Pullman residence, which is an apartment in kind of the central northwest part of Pullman. That phone was then subsequently turned off at approximately 2:54 a.m. and remained off until approximately 4:48 a.m. on Sunday, the 13th of November. The state's evidence includes, that would include a trial, video surveillance of a business on the Moscow-Pullman Highway.
Oh, great. They're
Just
having
across
an
the state
echo.
line from
That's
Moscow.
not me.
It would show a
Can't
vehicle
help it.
matching the description of the defendant's Hyundai Elantra entering Moscow at approximately 3:02 a.m. Compiled surveillance that the investigators put together from businesses and residents then show the defendant's car, the white Elantra, as I've described, circling the 1122 King Road area, that neighborhood, starting around 3:30 or so in the morning. Comes into the immediate area of 1122 King Road, which is actually on a dead end, and then leaves several times. And approximately 4:05 that morning, the defense car had entered that area, was leaving, stopped at the intersection of King and Queen Road, did a U-turn, and the state's evidence showed that the defendant's car came back and parked behind and above the 1122 King Road residence. The state believes that its evidence would then show that the defendant entered the residence of 1122 through the kitchen sliding door on the back side of the residence, which is the side of the residence that would face the area above where the defendant's car was parked. The defendant entered the residence, went to the third floor, and with a knife, killed Madison Mogan and Caitlin Gonzalez. The defendant, as he left that room, for whatever reason, ended up leaving, or the sheath for a K-bar knife was left on the bed next to Madison Mogan's body. And I can jump ahead. That sheath was tested by the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab, and single-source male DNA was found on the snap of that sheath, as well as blood from both Kaylee and Madison and other trace evidence. But it's important to note single-source male DNA was on the snap of that sheath. The state's evidence would show that Xana Knodel was still awake at this time. In fact, had taken a DoorDash order not long before this started. Her room was not on the third floor. It was on the second floor on the west side. As the defendant was either coming down the stairs or leaving, he encountered Xana, and he ended up killing her with a large knife. Ethan Chapin, Xana's boyfriend, was asleep in their bedroom, in her bedroom, and the defendant killed him as well with a large fixed-blade knife. Each victim suffered multiple wounds. I will say for the record that there is no evidence there was any sexual component or sexual assault on any of the victims. I want to make that clear so there's no speculation. There were two other roommates in the house, and they were already asleep. During the course of this, one of those roommates awoke, looked out her door not knowing what was going on, and saw the defendant, who was dressed in black with a black balaclava on, holding some sort of container in his hand. And she saw him leave the house through the direction of the kitchen where that sliding door is that I mentioned before. At approximately 4:20 that morning, so this would have been 15 minutes or so later, the defendant's car is seen on a surveillance camera for 1112 King Road, which is immediately next door to the west of 1122, leaving the area at a high rate of speed. And if the court were to see that, or anybody in this courtroom would see that, you can see the car almost loses control as it makes the corner, heads north, and then turns to go south on Walinta, which is one of the only ways to get out of that part of town. The evidence would show that following that, the defendant in his Elantra drove south of Moscow. We know that he drove on the back roads because there are surveillance cameras on the main highways, Highway 95, that would have picked up the defendant's car if he'd gone that route, and they did not show the defendant's car on that route during the time. So we know that he went through a variety of back roads in very rural, isolated part of Lake Powell County. About 4:48 that morning, the defendant's phone comes back on. And the evidence will show that that phone was located south of Moscow, likely at a side road intersection with Highway 95. From there, the defendant's phone activity tracks it heading back north towards Pullman, Washington, where the defendant lived. About 5:26, starting approximately 5:26, various surveillance cameras in Pullman, Washington pick up the defendant's vehicle as he enters Pullman from the south and heads north and slightly west towards his apartment, where he arrived at approximately 5:30 in the morning. Later that morning, Sunday, the 13th of November of 2022, Mr. Kohbverger's phone returned to the area of King Road. We don't know exactly what he did, but it returned to that area. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. He was there for about 10 minutes and then returned to his Pullman residence. About 9:30, the state's evidence will show, evidence taken.
Remember,
from the
they're
defendant's
just
phone,
reciting
he took a
facts
selfie
that
of
they
himself
thought would be
on his phone
introduced at
in what
a
appears to be
trial
a
to
bathroom of
show
the Pullman
they could
apartment.
get a conviction.
The defendant's phone then went to the Lewiston Clarkson Valley, approximately 30 miles south of Moscow and Pullman. And the defendant is actually seen with his car at various businesses down there. This area is the confluence of the Clearwater River and the Snake River. Lewiston is Idaho's seaport. Large bodies of moving water down there. In addition to tracing the defendant's activities, as I've just outlined, on the 13th and leading up to the 13th, the state's evidence will show that following Sunday, November 13th, 2022, business records show that the defendant began searching for.
And I'm not going to
K-bar
do
knife and a K-bar
Diddy
knife
because
sheath.
that's not surprising. Anybody who
As the
thought
state
it
believes to
is
replace the one that was left at
Yeah,
the scene
well.
of the murders.
got nothing coming.
The evidence also will suggest that there were at least attempts by the defendant to delete or alter his purchase history on Amazon, where all these transactions had occurred. Later that week, the state's evidence would show that Mr. Kohbverger went to what we would call DMV, motor vehicle licensing here in Idaho, in Pullman, to change his car registration from Pennsylvania to Washington. That's of note because Pennsylvania cars do not require a front license plate. The vehicle seen on the surveillance cameras of the defendant's car showed it didn't have a front license plate on it. At the time of the traffic stop by Deputy Duke in August, it was Pennsylvania license plate. Mr. Kohbverger proceeded to finish his semester of studies at Washington State University and returned to
Which
Pennsylvania.
means he
for
would
the
have
holidays.
changed his state of domicile
Law enforcement
too.
at this point
which
were
is-
aware of Mr. Kohbverger, had been accessing information
odd.
about him, were trying to find him. They
For
located
a guy
him
so
in
smart, he did a lot of
Pennsylvania, and they
dumb
conducted
shit.
what's called a trash poll during the nighttime hours. Agents of the FBI, who assisted immensely with this case, working with the sanitation department back in this neighborhood in Pennsylvania, took trash that had been set out on the street for collection, sent the contents of that from the Pennsylvania residence of the defendant's parents.
Which remember, you can do that. You can search the cartilage. If it's garbage that's sitting on the cartilage, Supreme Court is allowed. It's public, kind of like in the public domain, and you can go dumpster diving. So that was not an issue.
To the Idaho State Forensic Laboratory, where the lab experts there were able to identify DNA on a Q-tip as coming from the father of the person whose DNA was found on the knife sheath that was next to Madison Mogan's body in the bed. Subsequently, an arrest warrant was issued here in Idaho, and a search warrant was issued in the state of Pennsylvania with the assistance not only of the FBI, but the Pennsylvania State Police. Mr. Kohbverger was arrested at his parents' home to return to Idaho. Upon his return to Idaho, a DNA sample was taken from him, and it matched the DNA found on the knife sheath next to Maddie's body at the crime scene. I can tell the court, in public, the weapon itself, the knife, has not yet been recovered. I can tell the court that the defendant's apartment in Pullman was searched, as well as his office. Spartan would be a kind characterization. There was virtually nothing there. Nothing of evidentiary value was found. And of course, we are now talking 6-8 weeks after the time of the killings. In Pennsylvania, the defendant's car was seized, and it was actually pretty much disassembled internally. And it also
That's crazy.
had been cleaned. There was a bucket
Yeah,
of
so
cleaning
he
right beside
literally
it.
disassembled his car to kill
I think we can
evidence.
all look to our own cars, you know, in those compartments in the doors. We can try to keep them clean where you put stuff. There's always some degree of crud in there. They were spotless. The defendant's car had been meticulously cleaned inside. And the state would present to the jury that that was part of the defendant's plan in covering up this. The defendant has studied crime. In fact, he did a detailed paper on crime scene processing when he was working on his pre-doctorate degrees.
Remember,
And had that
he was
powerful
in
skill.
Dr.
So,
Ramsey's
Your Honor,
class.
again,
So
the state submits
he's got
the evidence
knowledge.
that I've given
Guy's
just a quick
smart.
overview of, and that to present in court would consume weeks, which the state is prepared to do and has been prepared to do, would show that as the defendant has just admitted and pleaded guilty on November 13th, 2022, excuse me,
he's going to get
Mr.
emotional.
Kohbverger entered the residence of 1122
And I like
Road in
that.
Moscow,
I like
Idaho. He
that
did
he
with
can.
intent to kill.
He
We
should.
will not represent that he intended to
He's a
commit all
human.
of the murders that he did that night, but we know that that is what resulted, and that he then killed intentionally, willfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice forethought. Manny Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, and Santa Cruz. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, based on the state's proffer and importantly based upon defendant's explicit admission to committing these crimes, the court finds there is a factual basis. Therefore, with respect to count 1, burglary, felony, how do you plead, Mr. Kohbverger, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 2, murder in the first degree, as it relates to the murder of Madison Mogan, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 3, as it relates to murder in the first degree for the murder of Kaylee Gonzalez, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 4, the first-degree murder of Xana Kernodle, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
As to count 5, the first-degree murder of Ethan Chapin, a human being, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Right. The court will find that the defendant understands the nature of charges and
That's
each
the
offense,
standard. That's
possible
all he's
consequences
required
him
to
of his
do.
guilty plea. Court finds that there is a factual basis for the plea and that finds the defendant believes the plea to be in his best interest. I find that the plea was given freely, voluntarily, and was intelligently made. I accept the plea. I direct that it be entered. I'll continue the matter for sentencing in this case. I think it was mentioned on the call Monday afternoon the defense wishes to waive a pretrial
That's
investigation.
all
Is that
you're going to
accurate?
get
Yes, Your
until
Honor.
sentencing.
The state also?
Yes, Your Honor, the state does not believe pre-sentence investigation is needed given the evidence that is available.
Pre-sentencing investigation is what the usual, well, it depends on who it is. Department of Corrections will do to basically see what they've got, what they're dealing with, and if the guy can be in general pop, does he need to be in the hole? Does he have psych issue? It could be a million things, but they put together a report and it gives the judge an idea of where to go in sentencing.
We want to, though, make sure that all of the victims have the
It's called a
opportunity to make
PI.
statements to the court at sentencing.
Absolutely. And certainly both the state and the defense may present whatever sentencing memorandum and other documents you wish me to consider. The victims will be given an opportunity to provide the statements that they wish to at sentencing. Do we need more than one full day for sentencing?
I do not believe so, Your Honor. We have numerous victims, and we have victims who share unique perspectives on this, and we want to make sure that they all have time to express their feelings to the court. But I believe that if we can start perhaps at 8:30 or so in the morning, that we should be
I
able
guess
to do
that
it all in
means
one day.
victims' impact statements.
Defense agree with that in terms of the time frame?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So as it happens, we have some time reserved in this case in July and August. The week of July 22nd is available. I don't know if that's too soon for the parties, or the next week, the week of August 4, is available. Any preference?
Your Honor, we're prepared as soon as the court wants to schedule it.
The state, I believe, would be prepared on the 22nd. We've told the victims' families that we're looking at approximately those dates.
All right. So because of the plan to bring in so many jurors to fill out questionnaires, I had ordered that no other trials could take place in this courthouse the week of July 22nd. And so we will use that in terms of the sentencing date because of what I'm sure will be the significant interest of the media and the public and the logistics that will be required to make that happen. Without trials going, it'll be a lot easier to do that. So let's pick that week. Why don't we pick July 23rd with the idea that if for some reason we don't finish.
Okay. So that's it of that. Let's try to compare and contrast it a little bit with BTK. That's a good one. This is an allocution. This is, well, more a plea colloquy. This is what I was expecting and we didn't get. So we're never going to get this from the guy. Now, maybe it'll happen in sentencing. Maybe they have some weird, wrinkle that they're going to pull and say, hey, you got to tell us exactly what you did. I doubt it, but we'll see. Crap. I knew I'd mess up. Hang on a second. Bear with me. Yep. Here I am, just my dumbass on here. Forgive me. But, well, shit. That's not what I want. Share. Thank you. There we go. I think I got it. I think. Let me see. I got it. We're good. Okay.
January 1974. Can you tell me where you went to kill Mr. Joseph Otero?
I think it's 1834, Edgemore.
All right. Can you tell me approximately what time of day you went there?
Somewhere between.
This video is going to shock you if you've never seen it. I'm just warning you. It's as if he's ordering a sandwich. This is the epitome, at least I think, of not just a sadist, but a psychopath. Someone who has completely twisted the lines of sex and violence, period. And he's beyond. They should have executed him. Luckily he'll never get out. But yeah, this is one of the worst. He is one of the worst.
7 and 7:30.
This particular location, did you know these people?
No, that's. No, that was part of my, I guess my what you call fantasy. These people were selected.
And he's going
All right,
through
so
the first murder that he did, which was, and we're not going to go through all of them, but the Otero family. Yeah, it was a whole family. So this is what normally a plea colloquy would look like if it's done. By the way, I am used to Alabama doing what Idaho did, which is basically what you saw. They give a recitation of facts of what they're going to prove, and the guy admits to, yeah, I'm doing this knowingly and voluntarily, and et cetera, and intelligently. And then the judge accepts it and enters a plea of guilty, and then sets it for sentencing. Sometimes they'll do sentencing immediately. At least in Alabama, they do. So we seem to be doing it fairly quick in this. He's not going nowhere.
You were engaged in some kind of fantasy during this period of time?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, when you use the term fantasy, is this something you were doing for your personal pleasure?
Sexual fantasy, sir.
I see. So you went to this residence, and what occurred then?
Well, I had did some thinking on what I was going to do to either Mrs. Otero or Josephine, and basically broke into the house, or didn't break into the house, but when they came out of the house, I came in and confronted the family, and then we went from there.
All right. Had you planned this beforehand?
To some degree, yes. After I got in the house, I lost control of it, but it was, in the back of my mind, I had some ideas what I was going to do, but I basically panicked that first day. So
Beforehand, did you know who was there in the house?
I thought Mrs. Otero and the two kids, the two younger kids, were in the house. I didn't realize Mr. Otero was going to be there.
All right. How did you get into the house, Mr. Ray?
I came through the back door, cut the phone lines, waited at the back door, had reservations about even going or just walking away, but pretty soon the door opened and I was in.
All right. So the door opened. Was it open for you, or did somebody?
I think one of the kids, the junior, or not junior, yes, the younger.
This guy's totally
Joseph
detached.
opened
He
the
has
door.
no. Yes,
He probably let the dog
no
out
sympathy.
because the dog was in the house at that time.
All right. When you went into the house, what happened then?
Yeah, I've had
Well, I
clients
confronted
like
the
that.
family.
It's rough.
Pulled a
man.
pistol.
It's not fun.
Confronted Mr. Otero and asked him to, that I was there to basically, I was wanted to get the car. I was hungry, food. I was wanted,
It's just so hard.
and asked him to lie down in the living room. And at that time, I realized that wouldn't be a really good idea. So the dog was a real problem. So I asked Mr. Otero if he could get the dog out. So he had one of the kids put it out, and then I took him back to the bedroom.
You took who back to the bed?
The family, the bedroom, the 4 members.
All right. What happened then?
At that time, I tied him up.
While still holding him at gunpoint?
Well,
See,
in
it's a
between
back
tying
and
and
forth
yes.
telling the story.
All right. After you tied them up, what occurred?
Well, they started
This guy
complaining
he
about
doesn't even bat
being
an eye.
tied
It
up,
doesn't bother him at
and
all.
I re-loosened the bonds a couple of times. Tried to make Mr. Otero as comfortable as I could. Apparently had a cracked rib from a car accident, so I had him put a pillow down for his head. Had he put I think he's.
I'm going to kill you, but I'm going to let
coat
you at least
underneath him.
not suffer and have a pillow. How nice.
They talked to me about
This guy's fantastic.
giving the car and whatever money. I guess they didn't have very much money, and there I realized that I didn't have a mask on or anything. They already could ID me, and made a decision to go ahead and put him down, I guess, or strangle him.
All right. What did you do to Joseph Otero Sr.?
Joseph Otero?
Yeah,
Okay.
Joseph Otero Sr., Mr. Otero, the father.
I put a plastic bag over his head and then some cords, and then tightened it.
And this was in the bedroom.
Yes, sir.
Did he, in fact, suffocate and die as a result of this?
Not right away. No, sir, he didn't.
What happened?
Well, after that, I did Mrs. Otero. I had never strangled anyone before,
My shirt's not picking
so
up.
I really don't know how much pressure you had to
Actually
put on a
says
person
hairy
or how long it
balls.
would take. But
Was she also tied up there in the
yes,
bedroom?
yeah, both their hands and their feet were tied up. She was on the bed.
Where were the children?
Josephine was on the bed, and Junior was on the floor at this time.
So we're talking first of all about Joseph Otero. So you had put the bag over his head and tied it, and he did not die right away. Can you tell me what happened in regards to Joseph?
He moved over real quick, like, and I think tore a hole in the bag, and I could tell that he was having some problems there. But at that time, the whole family just went, they went panic on me, so I worked pretty quick. I got
What did you? You worked pretty quick.
Well, I
What
mean,
did you do?
I strangled Mrs. Otero, and then she went out, or passed out. I thought she was dead. She passed out. Then I strangled Josephine. She passed out, or I thought she was dead. And then I went over and put a bag on Junior's head, and then if I remember right, Mrs. Otero came back. She came back and.
Sir, let me ask you about Joseph Otero Sr. You
Senior.
indicated he had torn a hole in the bag. And what did you do with him then?
I put another bag over it, or either that, or if I recollect, I think I put either a cloth or a T-shirt or something over his head, and then another bag, and then tied it down.
Did he subsequently die?
Well, yes. I didn't just stay there and watch him. Then I was moving around the room. But
All right, so you indicated you strangled Mrs. Otero after you
I don't know. I
done
didn't
this,
like
is that
watch
correct?
him die. I
then I
just
went back
killed
and
him.
strangled her again, and that finally killed her at that time.
So this is in regards to count 2. You first of all put the bag over
He's
Joseph
going through the
Otero's
different
head.
counts and
He
having to
tore a hole in the
relive
bag.
and tell everybody
Then
what
you went
he did.
ahead. Did you strangle Mrs. Otero then? Or
Okay.
did you go
First of
back?
all, Mr. Otero was strangled.
I'm going to put this does pose an issue. People think, well, everybody should do it. There's a lot of times where your client, and they're not supposed to plead guilty to a crime they haven't done. That's the problem with the stupid freaking plea deals that I hate, because the guy gets charged, for first degree murder. And really all he did was a manslaughter. Not all he did. He did a manslaughter. Let's say it was voluntary manslaughter. And he's willing to plead to it. Oh, no, that's not good enough. So they charge him really stupid high, use the threat of death or life so that they get like second degree. Yeah, he killed him, but he didn't do second degree murder. But the guy takes the plea, and you're stuck in the position of, well, he's not really supposed to, but what do I do? He wants to plead. And luckily, a lot of states don't make you do this, because this is what would screw it up. If you get in and say, well, I didn't, really premeditate, or, I didn't mean to kill the guy. I punched him in the mouth, and, I walked off and he died. That's not second degree murder. So that would blow the plea. But this happens all the time, thanks to the plea deals. One thing I could change, there's a lot that I wish I could change. I'd burn the system to the ground if I could and rebuild it. I don't know how I'd rebuild it, but it needs to be. I'd get rid of plea deals. You got to charge them with what you can prove. And that's it. You better go to court and prove it. If you can't, you're done. You lose. That's it. The end. If you think they committed, moonshining, trafficking in moonshine, buddy, you can't prove it. That's it. There's no lesser included. There's no nothing. That's it. You're done. It's really, since that has become a prevalent practice in the law, that has destroyed a ton of lives, where guys take pleas and stuff they didn't do. So anybody says they don't, they're full of shit.
Or a bag put over his head and strangled. Then I thought he was going down, and I went over and strangled Mrs. Otero. I thought she was down. Then I strangled Josephine while she was down, and then I went over to Junior and put the bag on his head. After that, Mrs. Otero woke back up, and she was pretty upset what's going on. So I came back, and at that point in time, strangled her for the death strangle at that time.
With your hand or what?
No, with a rope. And then I think at that point in time, I redid Mr. Otero's, put the bag over his head, went over and then took Junior. Before that, she asked me to save her son. So I actually had taken the bag off and was really upset at that point in time. So basically, when Mr. Otero was down, Mrs. Otero was down.
Watching, please
took
say something in the
Junior
chat
up in
so
a
I
bag
know
over
what's
his head,
going
took him to
on.
the other bedroom.
We're working.
What did you do then?
Put a bag
I
over his
don't
head,
know.
a
I don't
cloth
know
over
what
his
I'm
head,
looking
a
at.
T-shirt, and a bag so he couldn't tear a hole in it. And he subsequently died from that. And then when I went back, Josephine had woke back up.
What did you do then?
And I took her to the basement and eventually hung her.
Are you hung her in the basement?
Yes, sir.
Did you do anything else at that time?
Yes, I had some sexual fantasies. But that was after she was hung.
All right. What did you do then?
And went to the house, kind of cleaned it up. It's called the right-hand rule. You go from room to room. Picked everything up. I think I took Mr. Otero's watch. I guess I took a radio. I forgot about that, but apparently I took a radio.
Why did you take these things?
I don't know. I have no idea. Just
What happened then?
got the keys to the car. In fact, I had the keys, I think, earlier before that because I wanted to make sure I had a way of getting out of the house. and cleaned the house up a little bit, made sure everything's packed up, and left through the front door. And,
This is what they
went
were
over
expecting
to their
today.
car, and then drove over to Dylan's, left the car there, and eventually.
This is what they were people were expecting today. This is what you would call a plea colloquy. Literally, and I'm not going to. This is a 46-minute video. I've already been going too far, too long. I'm not going to do it. But this is the compare and contrast that I wanted to show. Most people are not going to do that, and that's fine. But if you've never done it, you don't know. You hear the words, you don't know. What is a colloquy? I don't know. So I hope this gives some kind of a insight into what happened today. I hope that they do something at sentencing on Kohbverger. That would be great. We're never going to find out unless he talks and interviews. And, look, psychopaths love to do that, man. They love the spotlight. This goes on for almost an hour, and it just gets worse. It doesn't get better. So we're going to end it on that. I'm not going to end the video. We're going to end it on that for that. Let me go back to the Rumble app here. It seems to be working okay. Yeah, I'm using Rumble Studio instead of StreamYard, so I'm just curious to see how well it runs. I don't know what to do next. I'm kind of, I guess, well, I will say that I will cover his sentencing. I am going to do a live video of that. I will do that. I just didn't want to, as far as Karen Reed, I did a couple days of it. I just, look, it just wasn't my bag. That's it, period. Didn't care. I still don't care. I'm glad she got, her justice. I hate that, the poor dead man is never going to get any. It's just not going to happen, regardless if she did it or not. It's just not going to happen. So, jury is coming back and said that they didn't prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. So she's innocent. I hope for his family and him one day somebody does crack the case and figures it out. But as far as me, I'm not interested in the case. I'm really not. If people put, just 20% of what they felt for that case into every other damn case and all of the shitty judges we have in this shitty country. And what I mean by that is the shitty legal system. Life would be so much better. Y'all can't even understand how bad it really is. And always the ones touting how great it is. And, oh, you just don't understand. It's the damn lawyers. Shakespeare was right. If you kill all of the lawyers, we're the issue. It comes with us. We are the issue. We don't police ourselves. We don't do anything. We cover ourselves or cover each other. And it's got to stop. People like her, in that case, with Judge Beverly, I saw how bad she was and biased. I mean, shit, just impeach her. I got a judge now I'm dealing with who's a piece of shit in Shelton County. He's a piece of shit. He should be impeached. Throw his ass out. They won't do it. Why? Because they don't have any balls. They don't care. But when it becomes them, though, or the president, oh, man, we got to go on a crusade. But if it's anybody else, especially if they're poor, and I'm just going to say poor because it doesn't matter if you're black, white. It doesn't matter if you're poor. Nobody gives a shit. And apparently, even if you're a kid, nobody gives a shit. They don't care. They don't care. They just don't care. It doesn't matter what's been done to the kid or the defendant. People just don't care. They don't do anything about it. They just keep reelecting the same dumbasses to keep taking over for other dumbasses. So nothing changes. The law is, everything is set up with mechanisms in the law to prevent anything change-wise from occurring. Like, you can't do it. You just can't do anything. Good luck if you get into a position to where you have to petition the Supreme Court of your state for mandamus. You're fucked. You're not going to, it's not going to be right. It's going to get nailed for deficiencies. You're not going to get it filed on time. Very rarely do prisoner ones work. It's just not going to happen. I will say that they do seem to give more deference to a prisoner than they do anyone else. They don't care. They go home and have their whiskey every night, pat themselves on the back. Did a good job, Bubby. You know, that's what they do. That's our system that we have. I'm very jaded. I'm not going to lie. I'm very jaded. I don't have the same, you know, viewpoint that I did even 5 or 10, well, definitely not 5 years ago. When I started, I don't have delusions of grandeur. I don't have, I see things for what they are because I've been through it. I've experienced it. They don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about anyone. And it comes down to only lawyers being at fault. At some point, the French Revolution will happen all over again, and this time in law. And the guillotine will call our names. And there's not a whole lot we'll be able to do about it. People will eventually just get sick of it. And they should be now. That's the problem. So, okay. All right. I'm off my soapbox on that. I'd like to go back over the citizenship, birthright citizenship, at least a little bit before I get into the me and what's wrong with me. Because I feel like a lot of times me is not important. But everybody needs to know where I've been. Mostly it's been a move. I moved back into my home area, and I'm now in northern Alabama. So it's nice. It's nice to be home. It's been a hell of a 5 years. It's been a hell of 5 years. So now I got to find what I was doing with everything. There's also another topic. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but it's something called the original 13th Amendment. I probably could cover it pretty quickly. Not the 13th Amendment with the slavery. There's one prior to that. It could still pass, but it would just require all the other states to pass it. It was started, I think, around 1810, 1812 is when it kind of died. It lacked one state. It's an interesting little area of law. The other video I have coming up, they're going to do. Most people don't know about it unless you're into racing. But on the end of April of 1991 or 1994, April, what was it, 29th, 30th, and May 1st was one of the deadliest weekends in Formula One history. We lost, had a horrific crash of Rubens Barrichello on Friday. He should have died. Saturday, we lost Roland Ratzenberger. He died after a collision at about 195 miles an hour, head first into a wall. Shouldn't have happened, but it does. It can. And then the next day, we lost Ayrton Senna on the Tamburello curve. So, what I wanted to go through on that case is that they actually had criminal prosecutions out of that, believe it or not, for over a decade. It was over a decade of prosecutions. They went after the Williams racing team. That's who Senna was with when he died. They didn't care. They didn't care about the team that had Ratzenberger when he died. They didn't care. They only went after Williams, claiming that there was negligence. And under Italian law, you cannot assume the risk in a race, even so that civil torts can still apply, or criminal actions can still apply in even in an accident, in a racing incident. So that case took over a decade to finally get resolved, and no one's covered it. I thought it was interesting. I think it will be interesting if I'm going to do another video on it at a later date. I've already got it all written out and videos pulled, so kind of have to be careful with the videos. I'll have to use some that are hopefully non-copywritten. If you've watched any of the Senna documentaries or the docuseries that was on Netflix, you know what happened. But it comes down to negligence, and they went after the Williams team's owner, Frank Williams, I think Patrick Head, the technical director, and Adrian Newey. for manslaughter. They were all acquitted except for Patrick Head, I think, at the very last one, and they finally got him on, I can't remember exactly what, but they said at the end, it's too far out of statute of limitations, so he can't be punished. So I thought that would be a cool one to do. I am having a really hard time talking about myself. That's the hard part. I was gung ho and felt, got into this and got through this, and now I'm like, maybe I should just go in and go to sleep. Call it a night. So I've not always, I've practiced law for almost 15 years, criminal, civil. I mean, I've done it all. And I took a job in another state, and I'm trying to limit this so it doesn't divulge too much. Of course, I'll get doxxed and everybody will know everything about me, which it's not a whole lot. So whatever. I took a job in another state, as a public defender. Did that for a few years, and this is where the story sucks. And I'm probably going to get emotional. I know I will, and I probably should just keep it quiet. But my family wants it told, and my daughter wants her story told. Mostly because no one will listen. The system doesn't give a shit. They don't care. If you think they care about you, damn it. I wish to God, I wish they would give a shit. Just 10%, like everyone did about Karen Reed to my little girl. I'd take 5%. Just 5. So yeah, I'm more than a little jaded. But I took a job doing PD work, and in 2021, I got a call. I was actually in the middle of a hearing. It was on Zoom, and it was my wife to tell me that she had walked in on my son in flagrante delicto, as we call it in the law. And I'm trying to say this so that YouTube doesn't pull the video, because they probably fucking will, because they suck, and they also don't give a shit about kids who have been abused or raped or hurt. There's no other word for it, for Christ's sake. My wife caught him in the middle of the act. She caught him. And I got the phone call. I bolted. And without going into full detail, I got to the house and confronted him. And had to, as you know, in this state that I was in, you're a required reporter. A, I'm an attorney, number one. B, I'm a parent, so I had to report. I didn't have a choice. I had to. My only worry was what happened. I didn't know. I didn't know what happened. I had only been told by my wife through her frantic voice message, or when a voice message was actually a phone call, that she had called him brutalizing her. This little girl. She was 5.5. He was 14. And so I get home and I have to, he gets on the phone with his psychiatrist. Of course, I have to sit there and listen to it because, I sat there and listened. I'm sitting there trying to figure out everything that's happening. And I listened to the entire confession. And when people say that they don't believe that people can actually have a break where they just completely don't have any memory, everything goes black, time stops, everything stops, they're wrong. It happens. I experienced it. I know what it's like. I don't remember much other than the confession. And it was so horrible that I couldn't, my brain overloaded. I couldn't take it. So I called instead of taking things into my own hands, which in retrospect, after all that we've been through, fucking great. Great. Freaking ain't nobody going to help you guys. Nobody's going to help you. You are the only person that's going to help your child. Even if law enforcement does the best they can, somebody in the judicial system is going to be there to just fuck it up. Inevitable. I had him arrested. I charged him. I had him charged. Ended up being about 9 Class A felonies. Unfortunately, he was old enough to be charged as an adult. And they tried that. And they screwed that up. And for whatever reason, the grand jury sent it back to juvenile court. 9 Class A felonies. Because of autism or some shit. I don't know. He's not. He's just a psychopath. But long story short, it's a lot harder than I thought it'd be. He finally gets sentenced, unfortunately, as a juvenile rather than as an adult. There we go. God dang it. I didn't have the mic isolation on. I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry. I'm having to run an air conditioner. Hour later, now you probably can hear me. Where was I? Anyway, he was eventually, thankfully, sentenced and convicted, and is in still jail, of which I'm still paying child support. By the way, state of Alabama won't stop it. I've tried it 2 or 3 times. 3 times. Nope, they don't care. He might come home. That's the excuse. They don't care. So I pay child support for a child rapist in jail, so a woman can live a lifestyle. And the victim's my child. That's been my life for 4 years because I put him in prison and tried to have him put in prison as an adult. I mean, you couldn't have told me this 10 years ago and told me this is what would happen because I would have told you you're full of shit. It's impossible. There is no one to help you. There was no victim's advocate for us. I had him prosecuted. Did everything I was supposed to do. I thought I was supposed to do. I thought everything I did was right. And all it turned out to be was a fuck you to my child and me and my family. I have been dragged before a court twice by his defense attorneys for contempt because they claimed, there's complete confidentiality. You can't even advocate for your child. Yeah, no. Marcy's Law covers that. You can. And I won the last one, so they can suffer. Suffer, DPA. This all happened in Kentucky, not in Alabama. Well, actually, he did it in 2 places, so I don't know what's going to happen with the charges in Alabama. To this day, I don't know. He is now an adult. He is still in custody because he's not progressing. He's a psychopath. He has been diagnosed with psychopathy. Unfortunately, they're going to release him. My mind is racing, and I'm sorry if this doesn't flow. It's not meant to be a freaking story. Uh, you know, they're eventually going to release him soon. Back to the community he comes from. If Alabama will take him, that's where he's coming. Back to his mommy's house, because mommy thinks he didn't do anything wrong. Mommy has fought everything to make sure I had to pay. She told me once too, when we got a divorce, that she would make me pay. She would make me pay and suffer. And in reality, all she's done is my daughter. I can, look, it sucks for me. I can handle it though. I'm a big boy. She's just a little girl. She's just a little girl, man, that had everything to her innocence taken by a piece of shit. And his mother has not helped. She's assisted him all along the way. It's to a degree that my YouTube channel got me a contempt charge, mind you, for speaking about it. Facebook, public post petitioning the government for redress. Did everything I tried to do to help her. Everything. And every time it was somebody there in the justice system to say, shut up, take it, just shut up. What do you say to your kid? What do you say to him? Sorry, you're not allowed to tell. You're not allowed to tell your story. He gets rights that you don't get, even though the statute covered her rights. So I pled guilty to the first one because I didn't want to deal with it anymore, the contempt. Paid a $700 fine. The second one, they wanted 90 days of jail. Mind you, it's his defense lawyers. They're no longer his lawyers by this point. But mommy has gone to him saying, look at the bad stuff he's saying. And I'm advocating for my child, mind you. I'm indicting the system, the judge, all of them. But it cost me another $3,000 to hire a lawyer in the middle of our move. All this is coming out of my child's mouth at the end of the day. They don't give a shit. So this agency that he is represented by, that was run by the governor, piece of shit Bashir, dragged me back into court, trying to put me in jail again for advocating for my kid and saying what a piece of crap they are, and that the system is broke. You can't allow these, just because they're a juvenile doesn't mean shit. If you have a juvenile that has done something to that degree, murder or otherwise, to a child that age, there is no treatment. You're not fixing the damn kid. They should be tried as an adult, convicted, and sentenced. That's the law. And instead, I had to go to court to save my ass from disbarment and a contempt charge and jail. Luckily, the second time, the judge wasn't real happy with them. Because remember, I said they're not his lawyers anymore. So now they're operating ultra vires outside the law. Completely. Petitioning, dragging me in with a criminal contempt charge, even though they can't do that either. Here I am in front of the judge. I hire a lawyer. I wrote the damn motion that got me off. But I had to have a lawyer to do it. I was banned from getting any records. I'm banned from getting the records of her case. I'm banned from getting the records of any of the juvenile proceedings in the matter, even though I'm the father of both. I'm prevented from all of it. They don't give a shit. And I had to go to court and face it. Right as we were about to move, which is why I think my last video, if I'm not mistaken, I think I did it at the end of May, I think. And this was like April the 17th. And I won. And he said, you're hereby exonerated. It was very weird language. I'd never heard it before. Very weird language. You're hereby exonerated and your reputation restored. Well, I'd like to have the $3,000 back that I just spent for nothing. Because under Marcy's law, even in Kentucky, I have a right as a father. And mind you, this is look, this is not something I want to talk about, but this has already happened to someone else that I have met through someone that, thank God, we were here to talk to, because she didn't know what to do. So I'm doing this in the hopes that somebody, God forbid, God forbid it happens. And if it does, please feel free to reach out to me. You're not alone. You're not alone. But I can tell you this, the system will abandon you. It will. My child didn't get a victim's advocate. We had to go to the governor himself and petition for one, even though he was supposed to provide one. She's actually been really good, telling us basically all of his movings and comings and goings. He's now a grown man. He will do it again. Based upon the crime that he did and the severity, he will do it again. They all do it again. Especially when they offend at such a young age. The statistics are not good. So I ended up getting a contempt charge. I like I said, I beat that one. The whole time, every time you get these, you have to call your disciplinary with the state bar. And you have to self-report. And I got on first name basis with mine. And, the most you get is, I'm sorry you're going through that. It's like, well, yeah, you fucking should be. It's your system. And I didn't get in trouble. I didn't do anything. I was well within my First Amendment right. I even got in trouble, dragged into court for this, for standing out in front of the courthouse with signs, picketing. No shit. Picketing. They thought it was so encompassing, this confidentiality, which it's not, only for dependency, neglect, and abuse cases. Those cases are confidential. You're not going to get that info. These criminal cases, especially where you're the parent, hell no, it doesn't cover it. There's no. And number two, I never released any info about the defendant other than it is my kid. Everybody in the community knew. Like everybody. It wasn't a big community. Everyone knew. So that's what I did. And I won the second one based upon what I thought. I'll go through the motion on another video. I got to find it. I didn't even think about it till just now. Damn it. Mostly thanks to Marcy's Law, but I was protected and I had a First Amendment right, and they burned that too. They tried to burn that to the ground. So these pieces of shit attorneys for the Department of Public Advocacy, whom, and I can't go into detail, I have sued them federally. They have been served. I am not letting it go. Fuck them. I am not letting it go. They almost cost me everything for simply advocating for my child, my little girl. No, I'm not going to give up. No. So, I have a civil rights case against them. And when I said they operated ultra virus, they did. They operated outside the law. They were no longer his attorneys. When mommy called them, mommy's the one that did it, because remember I said she wanted to destroy me. Well, that's who. She saw some post on Facebook I just had, which I'll get into. I just had brain surgery. I had brain surgery. I don't remember the post. I really don't. I don't have a clue. It was more of the same. Just this place sucks. The people suck. The grand jury sucks because they're pieces of shit because they sent this case back, etc. Just complaints, gripes. I have every right to say all of it. That's what they had pulled me in on, though, for the most recent one. So anyway, that's what I've done for the last 4 damn years, is fight that. And it's kind of what I started the channel. It's a little bit of a catharsis type thing, and to explain things that are going on with people, but also to shine a light on to what things are really like, what you're really going to see. The people that are, how lawyers really are. And I'm going to be honest with you, 99% are shitbags and deserve no business in the law profession. They just don't. They just don't. So anyway, back to the they were no longer his attorneys. They had no legal right to do what they did. They normally couldn't be sued for a 1983 violation because they were in the execution of their jobs. They were not. By not being his lawyer, they acted and interjected themselves into something they had no authority to do so, and broke the law. They broke the boundary to protect them from immunity. So, DPA, I'm not going to let it go. You shouldn't have tried to throw me in jail. I'm not going to release their names. The filing is open in public. If somebody does the research, they're going to find it. That's fine. I'm not going to be the one to do it and blow a case, but, I can talk about that. Eventually, I'll name who the attorneys are. They did it. That literally, because I dare speak out. Dare speak out. They wanted to run my career and my liberty. That's what it comes down to. So a lot of this, I've had to be shut up because of that. I couldn't take the risk of. I couldn't take the risk. I had to shut up. Luckily, I'm not in that state, so they can go fuck themselves. I don't know another word to say. They can go fuck themselves. And I hope they do right into a disbarment because they really did some bad stuff. In amongst all of that, I work. I started doing this. I also represent my child in a lawsuit against him. Because even a juvenile has a right to file a lawsuit against the rapist. They do. They do. Yeah. Well, and I'll name more later, but the suit in Alabama, again, they don't care. And in that case, she's a child, so she's indigent. We had already beaten summary judgment. Everything was going to trial, except for the unethical acts of his attorney. Well, his attorney and his mother's attorney. We sued them both. Aside from that, it was going well, except for their unethical behavior and acts to delay everything. And finally, we had a settlement. They blew it, reneged. I asked to lift the stay, and a new judge got assigned, who promptly went and destroyed everything, even though I had beat summary judgment. 80 years of Alabama precedent says you don't really get but one shot at that. So they got two shots. And on the second shot, he just said, I don't care what your argument is. They're getting it. And oh, by the way, your 9-year-old client is going to pay for his attorney. So now I have a child. I don't want to represent my own kid, but I don't have $10,000, $20,000 to give some asshole lawyer to go do it. So before you sit there and start throwing rocks, go fuck yourself if that's what you're thinking. Number two, put yourself in my shoes. So I did it. We followed the law, followed the ethics. And this asshole literally makes a ruling last month that, God, piece of shit, that a 9-year-old kid and her representative will pay his attorney, guardian ad litem, $2,500, $3,000, somewhere there. That's what they're going to do. And you have 30 days to do it or go to jail. I filed with the Alabama Supreme Court. All 9 justices denied it, even though the law said otherwise. No reason given, just denied. Just suffer 9-year-old. They don't even give a shit. So next time you hear a case where you think, oh, man, I can't believe this guy got, this is impossible. There's something wrong. Yeah, it's called, they're pieces of shit. I am convinced at this point that there are more pedophiles and supporters of stuff like this than ever would have thought? I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. Because you can't make an indigent child pay, under the punishment of prison, the attorney of the person she's suing, even if it's a guardian ad litem. The entrance fee. That's not the law. 9 of those pieces of shit on the Alabama Supreme Court. 9, and I hope they hear it. You pieces of shit said no. She gonna pay, or they're going to jail. A child who has been raped has to pay her rapist's attorney. She's not even allowed the right to sue at this point. What the hell's wrong with our society? What the hell's wrong with us? I have fought for 4 years to do everything I can to fix what I couldn't. And everywhere I turn, the only thing I can see is that the system it not only doesn't care, people don't care. And these damn lawyers will stand on procedure and principle and all this bullshit that they don't care. They use it when it's good for them, and that's all they care about. They don't give a shit. I promise you they don't. And this is the society and the system we're dealing with. It has to be burnt to the ground. There's no fixing it. There's no fixing any of this shit. It's not how this works. It's not fixable. And if they don't do something soon, the only way to fix it is what they did in the French Revolution. That's it. People will eventually say enough is enough. I'm done. And that will happen. I've actually done better than I thought I would do. I will go through hell for my little girl. You know, you may think I'm the asshole. You know, I didn't somehow do enough. I don't know what else I can do at this point. The system is there every time to obfuscate and destroy the rights of a victim. We don't care about them. We just don't care. Don't give me this bullshit that other law tutors say, well, we only have to concern with the rights of the defendant. Oh, fuck you. You've clearly never freaking been in this situation. You've clearly never had to go through this as a victim. You have never done it. Never. Those justices on the Alabama Supreme Court, not one of them, I guarantee, has gone through this. None of them. None of them. Or they have and they've enjoyed it. I don't know. I don't know who would enjoy that. The horror I have had to watch for 4 years. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Especially a child. It's disgusting. But that's what's happened to me. That's been my life. And in order I had to totally move to get away from any more contempt worries. Even though the judge warned them the last time, don't bring it again. Don't even dart the courtroom door. They will. They will. His mother will make him do it. It's inevitable. They will. It's not easy. And I got the ruling today. It was 9 justices denying mandamus of my client's case, which happens to be my kid. Saying that basically you have no relief, you're going to pay the money, or you're not going to file suit. That's it. Don't care. The whole point of suing him wasn't to get a payday. It was so that for the next life of his, he will pay her. Mind you, I forgot to add, we'd already gotten a default judgment, which this piece of shit judge overturned. illegally again, sua sponte. Can't do it. But this was like the first thing to deal with. So I just moved to dismiss the case. I can't deal with it anymore. I can't do it. I can't do it. I have no help. I have nothing. I have given everything I can other than my life. And I would do that to my child. I've lost everything as a result. I've lost my oldest child. She just won't talk to me. She has sided with the rapist, which just dumbfounds me. Dumbfounds me. Clearly, I'm not going to have anything to do with the boy. Period. It's just not going to happen. Maybe I should have led with this instead of stupid Kohbverger shit. I don't know. But the one who's lost the most is my kid, man. And there's no fixing it. There's no way to fix the system. There's no way to right the wrong or correct the ship's path. There's just no one cares. I can't say it enough. You know, even during the Reed trial, people made fun of the decedent's family. Shame on you. You know, shame on you. Shame on you. I don't know how people fucking live with that. I just don't get it. You're not the one that's having to live that nightmare. They are. You want to make fun of the prosecutors, etc., and judge it? By all means. Because they're just as bad. But this has been my life. This has been shit I can't talk about, and I'm partially okay to talk about the other half. I have to. I can't do it anymore. I just can't. I have to tell the truth. And I don't know. Maybe if you could leave a comment and tell me whether or not what I did was right or wrong. I don't know anymore. I don't know. I fought like hell and used the correct legal means to get redress, just as I would for anyone else. And I've been beaten down like every time. Attempted to put in jail for speaking out. I'd call other attorneys or First Amendment advocacy groups. Nothing. Nobody responded with anything. They didn't care. It was just me. It was just me and my little girl and my wife. And the hardest part is to know that I wasn't able to stop it. Not a day goes by that I don't question it. How? Why couldn't I? So this is all I have to do, is to be able to help her with the skills I have as a lawyer. That's all I've got. Yeah. Now we'll just now we'll pivot to my other issue, which is health issues. One of the reasons I've been off too is I have high pressure hydrocephalus. That is where you have an overbuildup of. I even thought about starting another channel with it, and the shunt life, and talk about it because it fucking sucks, man. It is a horrible existence. They don't know why it happened. It happened. I saw recently that Billy Joel has what's called normal pressure hydrocephalus. I have high pressure hydrocephalus. It just means the pressure buildup in actually the brain. The symptoms are the same. There's too much water in the brain, and it causes encephalopathy, where the brain actually swells, compresses and swells. And the ventricles swell inside the middle of the brain and can't drain. So every day it is a new day and a new challenge. Some days I can't, I don't even want to get out of bed from the dizziness. the disconnectedness. I mean, it doesn't mess with you cognitively, at least not me, but the complete disconnected sensory experience and overload that it gives me is horrible. I'm not connected with, I don't want to say with reality, but like you just, it's so weird you can't even explain it. You just want to hold your head and just keep your eyes closed and not move and just scream because you feel like your head is floating, like it's just floating away. Poof. And this guy's freaking driving me nuts. I gotta move. I gotta move. No, this is driving me nuts. Let me change the picture here. Yeah, there we go. Let me show my ugly ass. So yeah, hydrocephalus sucks. It's right. And I posted a video of me getting staples out, which got pretty good response. Now we go which way? Let's see. Yeah, this side. I go all the way around. I don't know, you might see it. There's a scar back there, and the shunt sits in right here. And just take a big picture of your brain, you know, and you just have a straw that goes through the middle to the ventricles and sucks out excess fluid. But it makes life really difficult at times. Like can't drive a car sometimes. If the pressures are too high, and you have to have it adjusted. The headaches are just horrific, and obviously they would be because you have too much water pressure in the head, so it's kind of like it has nowhere to go. It's pretty. It's been a horrific 10-year journey on it. And if any of you have it, please leave a comment. I would be interested to know. There's not a whole lot on it on YouTube. Most people think of it as water babies, and my heart breaks every time I see one. They're not as many now because they have the ability to do the shunt at birth, and to hopefully save the kid. But in utero, it's already happened. So the encephalopathy it's pretty bad. But yeah, that was a weird one because I got diagnosed at I think I was 37, and I got a facial laceration, and they did a CAT scan, and I'm like, I got a problem here. I need you to sew me up. I'm bleeding. Like, that's not your problem. Like, no, it's pretty sure it's my freaking problem. I'm bleeding here. Come on. And they put the scan up, and they said, no, you have hydrocephalus. I went, holy shit. It does explain some stuff. So, yeah, it sucks, man. You get symptoms when it comes on and you don't have treatment. You may have incontinence, bladder issues. You may not be able to pee, which was my issue. I thought I was just getting old. Balance. So you can have cognitive issues too, but mine was balance. I'd walk through a doorway and run into the door frame. Yeah, there's quite a few. The biggest one being headaches. Reoccurring headaches. You become a frequent flyer at the ER usually for morphine or whatever, for migraines or whatever they give now, which it doesn't work. Imagine that. Had they just simply done a CAT scan, they would have known 10 years earlier. But they didn't do it. So that's been my life update. I hate to have taken so much time on it, but I don't know. It just felt like everybody needed to know where I've been. Mostly the move. Other half has been I've had issues with my shunt, and every time I go to do a video at night, it's like, oh god, someone else is doing one, or I don't feel good, or it's not been fun. And I know there's been some other guys on the wall tube that have issues, personal issues with health or whatever, and their family, and I wish them the best. And it's not fun. But so that's my life. I am still practicing law. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me cognitively. If there were, I would quit. The hardest thing has just been, It's been my kid. And I hope I've done the right things. I had to move today, dismiss her case. It's just, she came up to me and she knows. I mean, she's 9 now. And, Daddy, I don't want to do it anymore. What do you mean? I don't want to do it anymore. Thank you. And, I said, okay, all right, I can handle that. And then this asshat judge decides that he wants to charge $2,500 or $3,000 for a GAL to be appointed for a kid in prison, which I bring up again. I'm paying child support for. In prison. He's in prison. What the fuck is she doing with the child support? Good luck, Jefferson County freaking domestic relations courts. They're not going to do shit. I've tried. I've done it 3 times. I've lost 3 times. They don't, and that's not the standard. The standard is a material change in circumstances of the child. Last time I checked, involuntary incarceration is one reason to cancel child support, but not in Alabama. No, not in Alabama. No, you will pay until you fucking die. That's what they will do to you. They don't give a shit. The judges down in Jefferson County are misandrous, bigots, and they don't give a shit. If you're a black man, you are fucked. I have watched them come in literally after they just got out of the penitentiary. Guy gets out of the penitentiary and he's like, I've been out 22 days and I've been rearrested for non-payment of child support. I'm like, but you just got out. Yeah, I know. I don't understand. Can you help? I try. Now, not only does he owe child support, he owes the welfare benefits that she got for his 5-year stint. And oh, by the way, you're not getting out until you've paid either in full, like $60,000, $70,000. Yeah, good luck with that one. Or however much the judge wants. And then she just keeps doing it because the guy obviously can't make a living doing that. Pay that off. He can't do it. So inevitably they sink back into crime because they got to pay their bills. That's what happens. That's Jefferson County. Alicia Ruffin May. That's my judge that I have to keep dealing with. I'll be filing again. And I guarantee you, I come back to you again with a denial. They don't care. So if your child is ever hurt, I pray to God, I hope nobody else goes through this. Please, if you can, I don't even know how to reach out to me. I think I have a email. It's I think it's the real Bama Law at gmail.com. If it's not that, it's realbamalaw at gmail.com. It's one of the two. Please send me an email. I'm more than happy. I'll even call you and talk to you. Because nobody else will. There's no one else. It's just us. If you're the defendant, everybody will move hell and high water for you. But if your child is the one that's been hurt, nobody cares. They just don't care. You won't get a lawyer to help you. You won't. No, you won't. If they want to put you in jail, they will put you in jail. That's inevitable. If you speak out, they will shut you up. That's just what they do. That's the system. Am I cynical? Yeah, I am. It's given me a new viewpoint too, though, for clients, especially the defendants when they're in jail, what they go through. Now, I haven't gone to jail yet, but I'm sure it will change. This newest judge, I'm sure, will try to do something to put me there. I don't know how people in Alabama could elect a judge that does that. It makes me question his motivations. Sure does. I mean, sure does. I'm sorry, but it does. It really does. So I don't know. I don't know. I may just kill this video and nuke it. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to do anything for anybody. I shouldn't have done this stupid Kohbverger thing. Everybody's already done it. You know, it's everyone's already done the Kohbverger thing. So maybe I should have just skipped it. But I don't know. I thought everybody needed to know where I've been and what's been wrong. So it's been health, mental and physical, and just stress and workload. The workload has been unbelievable, especially when you're fighting for your kid. You know, she didn't ask for this, you know, and I didn't do what I thought. I guess I should have done more. I should have known, I guess. I don't know. How do you know, though? You know, you can't stay up 24/7 when the devil's in your own home and you don't know that the devil's there. You know, you have to sleep. But it doesn't make it feel any doesn't make you feel any less guilty. So yeah, with that I'll wrap up. I did want to take a victory lap on the birthright citizenship and say, I told you so. Suffer, law tubers. Suffer. I told you I was right. Like 6 months ago. It's going to come down to whether someone is well, this is a segue. Someone is a lawful permanent resident, has a kid. Is that kid a citizen by birth? Cool. I'm going to make another video and we're going to go through the Kim Wong-Ark case again. This time I'm going to go through the entire thing, and it's a very long opinion. But in that opinion, if you just do a word search, you will see the term lawful resident or lawful permanent resident used repeatedly. I think it's 6 times in the opinion. And Ark's parents were lawful permanent residents prior to the enactment of the, I can't remember the exact title of it. It's the Chinese Alien Act or something to that degree to prevent more Chinese aliens from coming over for the railroads. But they had already been here. And I think they were allowed to disembark the boat, but not him. He was not considered a citizen by the customs official at the boat dock. And so that's where that began. I think the argument is much better to be made for, even under the Ark case, that it is, that they do have birthright citizenship if their parents are lawful permanent residents. If they're here illegally, they have not given up the jurisdiction of the foreign country. They have not given up their citizenship of that foreign country. I don't even think that, unless Congress specifies otherwise, I don't even think dual citizens can do it. I don't even think there should be, unless Congress specifically does a carve out and says, we will allow citizens of this country to be dual citizens of the United States, because you have to give up and submit to the full jurisdiction of these United States. You have to. Then you go to the readings, or the readings. Let's see, the quotes. Let me see here. Of the 14th Amendment. Let me see if I can't get this to work. And it's pretty self-explanatory. If you just go by the intent, you can't come up with another logical conclusion other than they didn't mean for it to be foreigners who came here to pop out babies. Period. Senator Jacob Howard, Republican of Maryland or Michigan, principal author of the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause. This amendment will not, of course, include persons born in these United States who are foreigners, aliens, or who belong to families of ambassadors or foreign ministers. Senator Trumbull, Illinois, chairman of the judiciary. He also crafted the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which became the model for 14th Amendment. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof means not owing allegiance to anybody else. Anyone. He was pressed on whether this would include children of Chinese, again, here we go, Chinese laborers. This is 1866. 1898 was Kim Wong Ark. Chinese laborers are gypsies. Oh, man. Now, his argument was that it would include them as long as they were not foreign diplomats or hostile forces. Okay. That's a positive in the side of birthright citizenship. Senator Edgar Cowan, he opposed the amendment, worried it would grant citizenship to Chinamen and gypsies. I love how they just keep throwing in gypsies. Is the child of a Chinese immigrant in California a citizen? Is the child of a gypsy born in Pennsylvania a citizen? His concern was not shared by Howard or Trumbull, suggesting they did intend for even the children of immigrants to be covered. However, John Bingham, here we go, stated, he's the father of the 14th Amendment, every human being not born within the jurisdiction, every human being born within the jurisdiction of the United States of parents not owing allegiance to any foreign sovereignty is in the language of your Constitution a natural born citizen. That's what it's going to come down to. I said it in January, and I stand by it now. What does this mean? A, lawful permanent resident. They're here lawfully. Okay? If they're here not lawfully, they cannot subject themselves to the full jurisdiction of the United States. And they can't say that they don't owe foreign allegiance to another sovereignty. They can't. Because they haven't gone through the process. They have not come here and done that. So, yeah, kind of a little bit of a, I kind of like to take a little bit of a victory lap on that. I think I'm going to end up being right on that. I think at the end of the day, I think that's what's going to carry the day is whether or not lawful permanent residents, the children thereof, can actually be considered citizens. That's what I think. And who am I? Hell, I could be wrong. Probably the thing that will turn it the most with people like Thomas is going to be, what was the intent? What was the historical intent? Well, the intent was to cover slaves, former slaves. That was it. Period. Even Senator Howard, one of his quotes is, "This amendment protects the black man. We ought not to leave the rights of 4 million slaves to chance." Chief Justice Waite in Minor v. Happersett, the main purpose of the amendment was to establish the citizenship of the Negro race. Not people coming in, illegal immigrants coming in and trying to overthrow literally the United States by the millions. This is horrible. Now, even back then, I think they probably had the same tension we have today. But I think the one thing that they all had common ground on was, well, if you've got lawful permanent residence, you've given up to you've subjected yourself to the jurisdiction of these United States, and you've done so fully. So therefore, yeah, you're here legally. Maybe you have a green card now. You have a kid. They've done the same. They aren't dual citizens. They're a citizen of the United States. I think that's what it's going to come up to. Because the amendment actually states all persons born and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. What is that going to mean? What will that mean to the Supreme Court? I think in the end what it will mean is whether or not you can come here illegally and still be able to go, okay, I refute my, I've come in wrong. I have no lawful permanent residence. My child was born here. But we're still going to go ahead and say we absolve ourselves of allegiance to our Honduras or whatever. I don't think that that's enough. They came illegally. I don't think that they have absolved themselves of that. I just don't. They still owe allegiance to someone else at that point. It obviously it also doesn't include foreigner born to foreigners. Oh, let me rephrase that. Senator Howard said it will not include persons born to foreigners, aliens, or ambassadors. So his intent was not just ambassadors, foreigners, aliens, or ambassadors. Clearly, you can't. And also, one note: it excluded natives. Native Americans did not become citizens of this country until like I think it's 1923 or 1925. It's one of the two. So I think we're in for a long fight on it. I think at the end of the day, the U.S. Supreme Court's probably, my guess says they're going to pussy out and probably say, no, they're still citizens, or at least those prior to the Trump executive order are citizens. So that's what I think. May not be. They may take the Thomas Alito approach of the historical text and tradition, or historical approach, and say, yeah, but we can go back to the debates, and even in the debates, they meant not to be foreigners that had not given up their other country. That's a problem. These people are not giving up their other country. They won't do it. Period. That's a problem. They can't have two allegiances. It's just one. Unless Congress says, okay, you can have a citizenship in England and the United States. They can do that. Otherwise, no. So I'm hoping that this gets dealt with sooner than later. I don't have a whole lot of hope on it. I really don't. I think it'll take a while, and Trump will probably be way out of office by then. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, let me go with some more quotes. Senator Howard. This abolishes all class legislation in the states and does away with the injustice of subjecting one caste of persons to a code not applicable to another. It protects the black man and his fundamental rights as a citizen within the same shield which it throws over the white man. It's 1866. John Sherman. The purpose of the amendment is to guarantee the colored race the right of citizenship. Trumbull. This great act of emancipation would be incomplete unless the newly made freemen were protected in all the rights of a citizen and a man. Thaddeus Stevens, Pennsylvania. It's much more important for the protection of loyal men, black or white, in the South. James Garfield, who became president and unfortunately died out of just complete, utter wantonness by his own doctor. I say that after a 4 years war with the rights of 4 million slaves, we ought not to leave the results to the caprice of those who would betray them. I don't know where else we go from that, other than this is what they meant. And the only thing that the Art case determined was lawful permanent residents. Their children are U.S. citizens. They're born here legally. They have subjected themselves to the jurisdiction thereof. They're here. That's it. So we'll see. It'll be interesting, but I think in the end, that's what it's going to come down to. I've been right so far, so I mean, we'll see. But we need to go over the fact that the 14th Amendment it was to apply to former slaves, because you had these people that were completely without a country. The states were reconvened basically with their former Confederate governments. Immediately started excluding them. They had to do something to protect them and give them the same rights as their white counterpart. That was what gave birth to the 14th Amendment. And I'll leave with this last one. Chief Justice Morris Waite, later reflecting in Minor v. Happer, said again, the main purpose, and this is 1874, the main purpose of the first section of the 14th Amendment was to establish the citizenship of the Negro race. That was the point. So we'll see. I think it'll be interesting. I'll keep covering it. Let's see. was wanting to read this real quick. Okay. Anyway, all right. So I think that's about it. It's a shitty video. Damn, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but I had to do it. I had to get it out. I had to tell something, some story. I had to get it out. You know, you can hate me for it. That's fine. I wanted to cover Kohbverger, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the 14th Amendment issue and birthright citizenship, because I still say that's what I'll hinge on. But aside from that, with me, I'm doing okay health wise. The shunt does play hell with me on a daily basis. So I may not be posting like all the other guys, which just it dumbfounds me how they do it. They post so much, it's insane. You know, and I've got work to do as well. So, but as far as advocating for my little girl, I'm broke. I'm broken. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I've done it as much as I can, and I hope that I've done the right thing, fighting it as long as I have. I don't know. The hell, my wife may end up going to jail over it because she's the representative, and we're not paying the damn $2,500. It's not happening. So, you know, I'm not going to sit there and take out a freaking GoFundMe and all that shit. It's stupid. Probably because nobody would donate anything because nobody gives a shit. But yeah, you know, I couldn't find a lawyer to do it if I had the money. No one cares. They're just not interested, man. That's the hard part about this that I've had to come to terms with. That God damn it, it sucks. It does. It sucks, man. But anyway, I've done better than I thought I would. I thought I would get real emotional, and yeah. So, thanks for joining me. Thanks for putting up with listening to my drivel about the woe is me. Because there's a lot of other guys out there that are going through a hell of a lot worse than I am. You know, just pray for my child. That's all I ask. And you know, hopefully I did the right thing. You know, I'm hesitant on revealing the judges involved. I will do a video on the actual people involved and what they've done because they need to be. I'm trying to decide. Yeah, what's funny is it's not funny. My mandamus got denied 9-0. Every justice of the Alabama Supreme Court said, nope, your child should have to pay. So every one of those sons of bitches think that a child should not be able to sue their rapist as a child. And if you do, you should have to pay their lawyer. That's it. All 9 justices. I'll pull it up. Screw it. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Let me look. Before I get off here, I'll do it. Where's the share function? I'm using Rumble. I quit paying for that stupid StreamYard. It's too expensive. Window. Well, window isn't working. Well, I guess. What? Oh, now I can't do it. Oh, that sucks. Damn it. Why is it not letting me able to do this? Okay. Well, maybe I killed it. Preview? Is it preview? Damn it. Damn it, Beavis. I don't know. Do y'all think I should do another video on the Wonka mark or just play it out? Leave a comment and let me know. That would be great. just found the freaking damn case brief. That's great. Found that. That's awesome. Let me see. Where the hell did I put that? There's too many icons. Oh my god. Computer's having a shit fit. I don't want that. That window. That's not what I want. Entire screen? No. Well, I guess that's not going to work. Maybe if I stop sharing. Huh. Well, shit. I was wanting to show it. Now I can't show it. Under preview. But yep. Let's see. Justice C.J. Stewart, Justice Shaw, or Chief Justice Stewart, Shaw, Weiss, Bryan, Sellers, Mendheim, Cook, McCool, and Lewis, Junior Justice, all concur. They just told a 9-year-old to suffer. Suffer. Suffer, bish. That's what they said. Ex parte, MCJ is next friend of MDJ, minor for petition writ of mandamus. And then he gives the actual case number in the matter of. Order the emergency petition for writ of mandamus, a motion to stay trial court's order pending resolution, filed by the representative of MDJ, the minor, on June 20th, 2025, directed to the Honorable, I don't want to say that either because I may have another hearing coming up. Chilton County Judge has been submitted to this court. It is here ordered that the petition is denied. It's further ordered the motion to stay is also denied. So that's it. A 9-year-old either gets to, I guess, or her representative gets to go to jail, or pay the $2,500. So, yeah. I think next time I don't know. I may eat something and I don't know, hop back on here and we can go through my mandamus petition and see how that works. See if it's maybe it sucked. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, thanks y'all for joining with me. It's not been it's not a video I wanted to do. Not at all. But I thought I needed to. And anyway, thank y'all for joining with me. I appreciate it. And don't be surprised that Kohbverger, we don't hear shit from him at all, ever. But in recapitulating what we've 2 hours worth of what we've been through, you've gotten to see what they did with Kohbverger today. You also have seen what a real allocution is with BTK and how he went through and detailed all of the murder. They did not do that. I'm more used to the former than the latter, but and then I wanted to go over the 14th Amendment thing, which I think I'm going to do it again. I think I'm going to do another video on it because I found my original notes from the January video, and I guess I could just re-upload it, but we'll do that. Thanks, y'all, for joining with me. I appreciate it. Like and subscribe. Thank you for bearing with me. I do appreciate it. I am very sorry for the shitty quality. I think the video even sucks. I don't know why it's so low quality. But thank you for bearing with me and listening to me and my poor woe is me story. Until next time. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.